Hey everybody, this is Patrick Gill for Polygon.com. I just got back from the Microsoft press event where we got to go hands-on with a lot of the stuff that was shown on stage last night. And one of the games that I got to try that kind of surprised me with how much I liked it was the Darwin Project. So in the stage presentation for the Darwin Project, which we saw last night, it felt kind of goofy, and I think it was partially to do with the way they decided to present it with this shoutcaster up on a podium yelling about the gameplay that we weren't really that familiar with already. But once I had some time to spend with it, it was pretty appealing to me. It's a six-player free-for-all arena game, sort of similar to, you know, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds with a much smaller player count. And rather than just everybody having the same sort of kit loadout, there are different characters that have different abilities. I only got to try one of them. I guess he's sort of the Ryu of the Darwin Project. He's just a basic guy with an axe and a bow and arrow. So the way that the game works is 6 people are dropped into an arena of hexagons. And you start foraging right away. You're cutting down trees, you're scavenging leather from items, you're gathering electronics, and you use those components to build things that can give you an advantage in the fight that's coming. So you might choose to, you know, make some arrows so you can attack some people from a distance. You might save up that wood and make a fire later if you get a little bit cold. So you are sort of monitoring your conditions as well. You can freeze to death out there if you're not careful. And as the match goes on, different quadrants can start being locked down. And when that happens, you need to get out of there or you'll die. So it's got this interesting way of making this asymmetrical survival-based sort of hunter and hunted game work while also making sure that it reaches a satisfying conclusion within a reasonable amount of time. That was like my big problem with Evolve. I love the idea of sort of hunting and this sort of shifting dynamic of power, but when there was just this entire map, you spent a lot of time just sort of chasing each other's trail. One of the cool things they did in this is if somebody has recently scavenged an item and you find, you know, a depleted scavenged item, it might be a cut down tree or an empty chest, and you go up and check it, you'll get about 10 to 15 seconds where you can see that person's location on your map. So you can sort of, you can follow people's trails and set up ambushes. In my play session, I was able to follow a guy to a house where he'd set up a fire to warm himself back up, and I killed him with an axe. It was pretty fun. The gameplay itself, minute to minute, like the archery and the fighting, doesn't feel incredibly tactile. It's satisfying to see your enemy go flying when you hit him with an axe, but it's not like, it's not Souls combat, it's not Zero Dawn. You're not going to be pulling off cool trick shots. It's more about, it seems like, getting the right angle on person and, you know, sort of getting the advantage on them rather than sort of besting them with a martial skill in a one-on-one fight. Yeah, so separate from the player role, when you get eliminated, or I think maybe it's just a separate role itself, there's the game director. And that's the person who gets to sort of choose which quadrants are going on lockdown. And you can also sort of punish players or make things harder for them. For example, you can initiate a manhunt that will let everybody on the map know where one particular character is. So it sort of puts you in a very dangerous situation if you're that person. So I came away from my hands-on experience with the Darwin Project a lot more optimistic than I was when I saw it on stage. I feel like it translated a lot better once I got my hands on it. It's being developed by a really small team of maybe 3 or 4 people from Montreal. So being on that Xbox stage so soon for them, I think, was kind of a big deal and also probably kind of terrifying. So that's how I feel about my time that I got to spend with the Darwin Project. Stay tuned, we got a whole bunch more E3 coverage coming up, a bunch of stupid stuff, a bunch more stuff like this where we actually talk about games and it's not just like Griffin eating things the wrong way. But yeah, Patrick Gill for Polygon.com. Stay tuned.